Hello, hello, hello. You will notice that I've had a haircut. How about that? Okay, so it's Wednesday. That only means one thing. It is interview day. And today is, we've never actually spoken in person, but I genuinely actually consider this person a friend now because we've been going backwards and forwards with emails for God knows how long. I bought some of his courses and I just think he's a really good human being, a really good person. And every time I speak to him, he always asks, Dean, can I do anything for you? Can I help you with anything? And I'm like, oh man, not really, no. And I know I can't help him with anything, but I feel a need to say it back to him. Anyway, Joe Fier is on the podcast. He is from the podcast called Hustle and Flowchart. I entered his well probably about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when James Schrenko recommended his podcast. And I was like, right, I'll check this out. And he just makes things fun. He makes business fun. And so many of us don't make business fun, don't make life fun. We take it all a little bit too seriously. And guess what? We don't need to. Because life is designed to, we're supposed to enjoy it, we're supposed to live it. And him and his partner, Matt, they just embrace that on their podcast. They do a bit box. Yeah, that's my best I've got. I can't do it. And yeah, they just enjoy it. And as soon as I listened, I thought, wow, this is awesome. In this episode, we talk all things podcasting. We talk things affiliate marketing, how to set up, what it is. And we just have a chat about life in general as well. Some really good golden nuggets. Do you know what? I'm going to let you guys listen to the podcast. Here's Joe Fier from Hustle and Flowchart. Check him out. You will love their podcast. They're just awesome people. And yeah, thanks so much to Joe for coming on. And I will speak to you guys later. Here is Joe. Joe, thank you so much for your time, buddy. I really, really appreciate you coming on. I know it's a busy time for everybody, so thank you, brother, for your time.
Of course, Dean. Yeah, no, it's always amazing talking with you. And, I know we chat a lot through email. So I've been listening to your show. I know you listen to ours. So it's just, I love what you've created here.
So Joe, if you could just tell the listeners a bit about you, your life, your personal life, your business life, and just so we get to know you a little bit better, buddy.
For sure, man. So I'm out of San Diego, California, and have been an entrepreneur for 12 years or so, something like that. Run a podcast that we mentioned is called Hustle and Flowchart. And that's been going for about almost 4 years, almost at the 300th episode now. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, we've been, so my partner, Matt Wolf, we are podcasters, content marketers, just promoters. We're just genuinely curious people, but we've created this kind of really fun business content forward, with the podcast, but we make most of our income affiliate marketing, selling other people's products, basically, just because we don't like to sell our own. We like to sell other people's, people that we like and enjoy. So it's led us to interesting partnerships and equity deals, royalty agreements. And, now it's just like we're playing this game where we can just be the promoters and we're kind of just working with our friends. It's a good time, man.
Yeah, excellent. And by the way, you said you don't like selling your own stuff. I actually bought one of your podcasting courses and I bought everybody's podcasting course. And I honestly promise you that I got more of your course than I have done anybody else's course. It was fantastic, buddy.
Thank you. And I know I think out of everyone in that course and, and we've had quite a bit of people have actually done the work so fast too. And I know you had some previous, podcasts that's in a different space that's done well, but my God, it's tough to start another show and keep it consistently and actually bring on, like, you're doing great work with it. So I'm happy to see it. That's what makes me the most happy to train people.
Cheers, buddy. So what got you into the entrepreneurial space and what was it? What was your story? How did you get into it?
Yeah. So the story goes, I didn't come from an entrepreneur family at all. That it came from really wanting to just get out of the 9-to-5 kind of corporate stuff. I had a few jobs in that and just looked around. I'm like, everyone looks kind of zombie-like. They've been here for far too long, like 30 plus years. I'm like, no, that's not for me. So, luckily I found Matt. We got introduced through some mutual friends. We were both in bands back in the day, played guitar and all that. So I actually worked for his parents' company for a bit. And his parents are both entrepreneurs. So he was raised in that space. So it was just us kind of on the side. We would start blogging just because we're interested in different things and kind of figured out how to layer some money on top of that through Google Ads and selling other people's stuff, on the back of these blogs. And we've just kind of have been tinkering around with content for a long time. And There's a lot of little details we can get into, but essentially we started seeing like, oh, you can make some kind of money online. And luckily, we've been fortunate where some other entrepreneur friends of ours kind of spotted our interest, and they're like, oh yeah, you need to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad for one, to change the thinking up top, like get out of that dollar an hour. Cause that's all I knew, I wasn't an entrepreneur, but Matt, I think he knew a lot more of like what's possible. So he kind of pushed me. We both collectively helped each other. Pretty much ever since then have been partners on and off, but I'm, if we're talking like the two of us, he's definitely got the analytical side. He's very system strategy, whereas I'm the connector. I'm more the, the upfront, the guy on calls, conversations, creative deal structure type things, and throwing the wild ideas to Matt and be like, how about that? And usually they suck. The ideas are just crazy. But I feel like we found a really interesting flow working together for almost 10 or over 10 years now, Matt and I. It's a cool partnership. So that's why the name Hustle and Flowchart, I'm more the hustle, crazy ideas. And I'm just always thinking of stuff to do and try and experiment with. And Matt's over here, figuring out the strategy behind it. So it's a cool combo, man.
Yeah, do you know what it was? Because I'm a lot like you. I'm terrible at systems and procedures. And in my main business, the storage business, I've got somebody who is exactly the opposite of me. She's called Angela. She's very good at systems and procedures and making sure everything's up to date, like the security on your PCs and stuff. Oh, she's good at all the stuff I'm not good at. I wouldn't even insure our van, on time. And so she's great at that sort of thing. And I'm a lot like you with the ideas. And I remember listening to one of your podcasts maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, and it really made me focus, because all of a sudden you guys saying, look, we've been trying all these different things, and really that we're going to focus on affiliate being that's our main revenue driver. Why don't we just focus on that? Why do we do all these crazy ideas? All of a sudden it come to us, and then I think it was yourself who said that it just kind of, as soon as you said it, it immediately felt right, and it freed you up so much. And I've got to draw myself back in all the time, because I have so many ideas. Like I said before we started recording, I've got a big whiteboard with loads of ideas, and I want to do this, I want to do that. But sometimes I've got to drag myself back in, and I've got to make sure that I focus on the one thing at the time, because otherwise I can just go all over the place. And so I've got to be very, very conscious of that.
You're in good company, my friend. I feel like that's most entrepreneurs, and naturally, I think you and I are probably similar in the personality, the quick start. We're just so curious. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that quality, and it's really, it's the things I've been doing the most actually since this COVID lockdown kind of period, the last 4 months or so, is really getting clear on what are the things I just really shouldn't be spending my time or even thinking about. Which is like a huge, it's me saying no to more things, opportunities, and even going on podcasts, certain podcasts. It's like 100% like, not this one. I'm here, man. So you got the in. But it's things like that. Like, that's not my normal state. My state is to say yes to everything, go meet up and go all these calls. And I'm like, but then I look at my day, I'm like, I am drained. And where did that get me and why? And so I've been having a hard look at that.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. And I've got something written down here as well, that the thing that really scares me is going back to a 9-to-5 job. Like I said before, I love the fact I can just take the morning off today. I can go to the park, go to the beach with my kids, take the morning off. No full, I've got some podcasts to do this afternoon, and I can really smash it. But then I get to choose when I get to work. And 5 years ago or something, I had a really unsuccessful business. This, again, was my own fault, because I went into the restaurant business. I've got no experience, Joe, whatsoever in the restaurant industry. I worked at McDonald's when I was 16. I didn't even get any stars. And here I am opening a restaurant. I mean, why did I do that? And I lost 6 figures. And the thing that scared me the most is I don't ever want to go back to working for somebody after having this entrepreneurial lifestyle. I'm scared to death of going back to 9-to-5. And I use that as a driving factor and a driving force to make sure that I do what I can, and I make sure that I maintain profitable, to make sure that I can look after my family.
Smart man. I mean, hey, the back against the wall feeling, that's usually the biggest motivation, and it's like almost giving yourself that kind of feel, like always have that. Sometimes you should feel like you're back against the wall. Like, you don't want to feel too comfortable or complacent, but at the same time, it's this balance of don't string yourself out either,
Yeah. So podcasting, Joe, how did you get into podcasting? Where did that idea come from?
Ooh, yeah. So podcasting originally started in I think it was 2010 or no, it was 2012, I believe, somewhere around there. So it was a long time ago, nearly 10 years ago, but we didn't stay with it. It was a lack of systems and all that stuff kind of crumbled the first, 2 or 3 shows that we had. It was always, everything started from general curiosity from Matt and I, and then sharing what we're learning with others. Like, so we actually used to do that with YouTube videos. We would sit in his garage in his had these like Suzuki Samurais. They're like really like, they're kind of like Jeeps back in the 80s. We all had them for some reason. Matt and I had them, his dad, like we always kind of did off-roading together in these really janky things, but they were fun. It was manual, everything, 4-wheel drive. But we would sit in there with beers and just like throw a camera on. It was just really funny. It was like our set, I guess. And we just talk about the cool stuff we're learning. Like we're like, Frank Kern said this, or Tony Robbins said this, and we're gonna, and it was almost like telling our perspective. We didn't know that would lend to content that actually was meaningful, but we tried out some podcasting. Those fell, like I said, because we just didn't have consistent systems to keep our schedule up, because that's super important, of course. And then eventually, I'm just going to fast forward to Hustle and Flowchart. The big reason we started that is we wanted to give out more content for free. We wanted to give our best thoughts and strategies and share the best people in our network on our show for everybody to hear and not have to pay for. We did a lot of paid, products and things like that beforehand. And we just felt like we're like holding too much back behind a paywall that people just, we had more to share, and we wanted to affect more lives and help more entrepreneurs out there. So we just essentially made most everything free in our business, like the best stuff. The courses we kind of slowly stopped selling, and that was like a good $20,000-$30,000 per month revenue streams.
Wow.
That we're just like, we're not feeling it. It just doesn't feel like it's us. So that was kind of, and it's been growing ever since. We wanted to build a platform more than sell courses, individual things.
Yeah.
We wanted to create fans, and like with affiliate marketing, selling other people's stuff, we're like, this just makes sense. And and then so we created a system on the back end of the podcast that supports all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know? I've just done something similar. I've got the Betting Guy podcast, which I literally spend maybe an hour or two a week on. I get not the same as an amount as you, but I get $50,000 a year, which is huge, especially when we've got 2 little kids and stuff. But it wasn't me anymore. The betting side of it, it was who I used to be, 10 years ago when I had a betting shop, but it wasn't me anymore. And so I've give it up, and I've told my sponsors that, that's it. We get 60,000 downloads a month, and I've give it up because it wasn't me. And for regular listeners, I've mentioned you before on the podcast because what I got from you guys from Inverse Thinking. So I mentioned that. I did a whole podcast about it. And I thought that was amazing. And how I first came across you guys was one James Shranko, our mutual friend. He mentioned you guys, and I thought, I'll have a look at this. I had a look at the podcast, and all of a sudden you beatboxing, and I was like, what the hell? This is a business podcast.
Boom, boom. Yeah, that's right.
These guys are awesome. It was just completely
we like to have fun,
different.
man. Yeah. I'm happy. Yeah. Go ahead.
I could relate to that so much. It was great.
That's right. I mean, you're a fun guy. I know it from your emails, and you've been listening. You've always interacted, and that's what I appreciate about you. And just really, there's certain people that stand out like you, and but they're always saying the same thing. It's like, man, it's fun. Like, you guys keep it fresh. It's just, if it's not fun for Matt and I, we ain't gonna do it. Like, we're gonna get bored.
Yeah.
And like, you can't do this in a 9-to-5 job. Come on.
Yeah. So if you could explain the affiliates inside of it to somebody who doesn't know, because a lot of people are listening to this podcast want to start an online business, want to get into the entrepreneurial space. Could you explain a little bit more as to what it is and how it works?
No, that's a great question. And so affiliate marketing at its basic, I guess, the way that it works for us at least is we're selling other people's products or services. And for us, it's typically software tools in the marketing space for entrepreneurs. But sometimes it's someone's like a service to, say, a podcast agency, someone who wants to start, like Charlie, for instance, Charlie Valor, mutual buddy. we'll sometimes refer people his way, and then he'll give us, a little percentage.
Yeah.
Same with selling someone's product. You can make, 30, 40%, 50% of a sale. And, sometimes that's $100 commission for us up to 500 or more, depending on the level of product sold. So we realize we're better at selling other people's stuff and getting excited about people like Charlie, for instance, and be like, dude, that guy's so great at what he does, like, growing shows, maintaining shows, starting shows, whatever, video. We would much rather, and I think it's easier to sell someone else rather than our own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and like, we just use the excitement is always key. The fact that we use these services or we know the people really inside and out, like that's the core component for us. We're not just going to sell everything out
Yeah.
there. That's kind of like what gives affiliate marketing, I think, a bad taste.
Yeah.
Is like no real like credibility behind this. Like, we want to make sure our folks are taken care of. So
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are building up all the trust out. You're building up the trust with listeners like myself. And then when you recommend something, you kind of know straight away. Because there was another podcasting course that you was recommending, and I didn't. I emailed you and said, look, I don't even need to have the webinar or whatever it was. Just tell me how much it is. Tell me where I pay. I'm in, because if you guys say it's good, then I'm all over it. And I suppose that's how it works, because you guys give everything for free, all your best stuff away, because you want to help the listener, the audience, as much as possible. And so then when you do, I suppose it's exactly like Gary Vee says, jab, 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 right hook, and you're giving so much away. And then when you recommend a product or something, then people are going to more likely take action to whatever you've recommended.
That's it. Basically, that's it. And just imagine, like, every business can do this too. And that's the beautiful thing, is most people feel like, oh, affiliate marketing is not for me. That's just for the types that don't sell their own products or services. And that's not true, because think of any business on the planet can use some kind of affiliate marketing to it. It's just it could be a bolt on to a product or service you already have. So it's an extension of something that you don't necessarily have to fulfill, but you can recommend, like, self storage, for instance. You can take a business like that, and then, every customer you can give them another offer that, combines with that.
We give them
maybe
50
it's
quid. We give every customer recommends us 50 quid, and removal companies, we give them 50 quid as well. And so we get so many that our customers end up being walking, talking billboards for our company. Another example is the betting guy, because all I did one day was recommend Football Form Labs, and not because it was paying me or anything, because I genuinely use them. Football Form Labs heard it, got in touch with me and says, look, Dean, we'll give you 40% of all the recurring revenue that we get from it. And we'll give your listeners a 20% discount, but can't get anywhere else. I was like, oh, well, it's a no-brainer. It's good for the customer. It's good for Football Form Labs. It's great for me as well. And even to this day now, every single month, it's not a lot, but it's $100 a month that I get in my back pocket. And I can take the missus out. We can do whatever. We can take the family out. And it's $100 for one bit of content once. That's all I did. And I did a YouTube video as well. And it's great.
There you go.
Evergreen.
That's it. Yeah, it really is. And that's the beauty of, like, if you get a recurring offer like that.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing using podcast or any kind of content out there. It's not like you need to keep doing this all the time. Is you can do the front loaded work and reap the benefits for a long time. Yeah. Recurring offers like that. If you're getting a percentage, there's a lot of them out there. Or if you're just good at traffic and bringing more attention, in like a community, which is kind of like, we kind of layer both sides in there. It's a fun game. And the beauty is that you don't have to fulfill it or do support, customer support. You can just be you, like be the business owner that you're good at and just promote things that are relevant.
Yeah. So what's the biggest needle movers in your business? What's the 20% of effort that gives you 80% of results?
Definitely, it's really the stuff we're talking about here. So as a business, I guess I can probably I could talk personally and then business wise. Definitely, affiliate marketing is 70 to 80% of our revenue. So it's huge. And it's no joke there. We definitely have our own membership and all that, but that essentially pays for its costs. We have note takers that support a bunch of notes that we give, people that pay $15 a month or $59 a year for the two different levels that we have of our membership. And
I'm a
It's
member.
amazing. Yes, you are. You're amazing, man. Thank you for a long time. Yeah, and it's folks like you that love it. So we want to keep supporting everyone. And so all the content comes from the podcast. So I'd
Yeah.
say the podcast and affiliate marketing are the big needle movers for us. Without those, we honestly would not have what we have now. And then personally, like I've really realized I am the connector. Like that is the
Yeah.
big needle mover. I'm the one that's typically the one bringing folks onto our show. Most of them, I mean, Matt definitely is involved in there. He kind of stirs it up a little bit, but I'm the one that'll get on phone calls. I'll go deep into research and, kind of figuring out the connections like, oh, this person knows this one, and we can figure out how to triangulate. Like I kind of have this
Yeah.
interesting, I don't know, like knack for making stuff happen like that with people. So collaboration and connections, I would say that's like the big 80% for me.
Yeah.
That makes me.
Yeah, it's massive good traits as well, being able to connect and being just a people person and just being a good guy. That's all it is, It's
Yeah.
not rocket science.
No.
Just be a good guy and be genuinely interested about the other person as well, and try to. And everybody keeps on saying about add value and try to, but it really is. If you add more value, if you try to be the 51% in any relationship, then you're always going to be held in high regard by that other person. And there's no secret sauce. It's just be a good person, try to add value, and try to be good where you can. That's it.
That's it, man. I'm a simple person, and I do complicate stuff naturally. That's why I'm working on that part of me now. But I need to keep it simple because that's just how I work, and that's my best work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what KPIs do you look at to make sure your business is going in the right
Mm-hmm.
direction and performing well?
I would say the biggest one for us is leads. Like the amount of new leads coming into our ecosystem. Because we know, if a new email, someone signs up for our email address, like they're going to pretty much see everything that we put out into the world. And those are folks, typically it starts on the podcast. So we have a lot of ways to lead gen from the show. We give away notes. Every single episode has its own individual kind of cliff notes, 4 pages or so that are free for a period of time. And then, people opt in, give us their email address for those. And they have the opportunity, of course, to get into the membership and all that stuff. But joining our Facebook group is huge. There's a way for them to put their email address in there as well. I would say email, lead capture, but also really any community that we're growing, which are things like Facebook groups, even our retargeting pixel, because, there's a lot of follow-up that happens that we try to stay in front of people. So as long as we know that, then it's supporting our platform to give more value, and then of course bring more revenue in as well.
Yeah, you guys are good at retargeting, aren't you? Because I kept seeing your Facebook advertisements for ages. It was great.
Yep.
I was like, oh, these guys are on point with retargeting.
That's it. That's all Matt right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got to say that's where I try. Do you know what? I've realized that there's certain things I'm not good at, so I outsource them. And I've been on Facebook courses, trying to learn everything. I've just realized that, do you know what? It's not worth my time and effort. I might as well just outsource it to somebody who I know is great, get the result from them. And so just stick in your lane kind of thing and do what you're good at. And I was a person who was trying to do too much, trying to learn too much, and really like Google Analytics. Now for my other different businesses, I've got a girl she's fantastic. And as much as I try to do it, I was never, ever good at it. And I used to dread the days I used to have to look at it. But yeah, it works out for me that way as well. So Joe, I'd love to just talk about podcasting really, really quick. Where do you see podcasting in the next 5 years? Do you still see this growth? Because during lockdown, the amount of people who brought our podcasting course, and there was so many around, and so many people actually contact me and ask me, is it still worth investing in starting a podcast, investing the time? What do you say when people say that to you?
100% it's worth it. So right now, it's interesting. I think for everybody, everywhere, every system, every business, podcasting isn't going anywhere. I mean, if you just look at the smart people, those are typically the ones that are investing millions and millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, i.e. Spotify. They're just proving right now that podcasting isn't going anywhere. It's actually going to grow like crazy. And it's now moving into different platforms and modalities. So there's a lot of new money, newish money, meaning coming from Spotify and not Apple or all Stitcher. it's kind of, there's even Sirius XM is investing a ton of money, in their XM radio and all that stuff. I think they're the ones that just bought Stitcher, which is a big podcast platform. Spotify, invested, of course, at least 100 million into Joe Rogan to get him exclusively for only like 4 years or something. And then, so that means that that's going over there with audio, video. Spotify's actually introducing video on their platform too. They have ads now that podcasters can use to grow on Spotify too. It's slowly taking over, Spotify's taking over the podcasting world. So the numbers are growing. Spotify's like this new platform's coming in to kind of reinvent the space. And because Apple, and iTunes has just slugged around for the last like 4 or 5 years, it feels like. They just have been dragging their feet and not supporting the community as well. But whereas podcasting, like everyone has a unique voice, especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's an amazing way to connect it to a business of yours and grow a relationship with listeners. I mean, like you and I, like you're listening to our show and I give you a shout out on our show because, it was cool. And I know he almost drove off the road.
I did.
Don't do that. Thank God you didn't. But yeah, like it's things like that. Think about the relationship that, we've been able to create with you, not really honestly talking directly to you. I mean, in that sense we were, but yeah, it's one person with headphones on typically, or in the car, maybe with another person. But typically that's not even the case. Usually they're sleeping, like you said, your family. That's podcasting right there. So just think about it. It's like growing relationships or fans at scale, which is really, that's how I think of it with podcasting. Is it's a very direct modality. So if you can speak to an audience, like if you have your audience, just think about the relationships you can build and trust. Rather than just emailing, that's not as personal, but like audio, or even if there's video, people are going to start to trust you a little bit more. They're going to speak your language and they're just going to buy stuff that, without the barriers that are kind of there prior to. So there's a lot of power in podcasting. Yeah.
I 100% agree. Yeah. And just give the listeners a bit of context. I was listening to Joe's Hustle and Flowchart, and all of a sudden he gave me a shout out and I was like, whoa. The wife was asleep. The kids were asleep. I had to rewind it to make sure it was me. I was like, oh my God. And I know it was the geekiest thing in the world to do, but I was like, it made my day. It genuinely made my day. I absolutely loved it. And in regards to podcasting as well, I started one called Hacking Self-Storage maybe a year and a half ago, somewhere on there. I only get 100, maybe 200 listens per episode, but it doesn't matter because it's in your niche. It's in your niche. And that's allowed me. I've just been recently asked to speak in Hawaii at the self-storage conference, and then I've been to Vegas twice now to speak as well because of the biggest of the Wells self-storage conferences there. That I get to speak to cool people that I would never ever get to talk to. The operators, the Wells best operators, I can open the door to, and I'm now personal friends now with people who invest in self-storage companies. And so if I ever want to buy a self-storage company, I know I can pick up a phone and I can say, listen, do you know what? Here's an opportunity. Are you interested? And you're building those relationships all the time. Just today, I got a text from somebody from Ireland who runs a self-storage company, and we've grown close because of my podcast. And you don't have to have 1 million downloads or anything like that, but it's genuinely changed my life, changed my world. Man. Just by starting a podcast maybe 4 years ago with a Betting Guy Festival and Hacking Self-Storage, and then this, I personally love it, and I believe it's only gonna grow, and it's in its infancy at the minute. There's just 1 million podcasts out there. Look how many blogs there is. Look how many YouTube videos there are, and people are still creating more content.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. You absolutely, like, I can't say it any better, but like the numbers, and so the more downloads don't equate to, more money or whatever. Like a little thing, we surveyed 1,000 entrepreneur-based podcasters, and I think it was 5% actually make anything more than $100 per month from their show. So from their efforts, and it was just blowing Matt and I's mind. We're like, why? Okay, so you have a podcast, you have a business over here. I'm assuming it's making money. Why are we not connecting those two?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a direct. It could just be for connections, like you said, speaking opportunities, partnership opportunities, collaboration. I mean, you don't need more than 100 people. You don't need maybe 50 people. Like if they're the right people listening, that's all that matters.
Yeah, all of a sudden you become an authority in your space, and now I'm looked at as an authority in the self-storage space, and I'm passionate about the industry. I love it, but it was only because I started a podcast, and that was it. So I've just got a quick few questions then to rattle off to you. So if what does success look like to you, Joe? What does it look like? Success means so many different things, so many different people, and the more I learn and educate myself, the more I realize that success doesn't have to be the dollar. It doesn't have to be the money.
Yeah, no, it's not the money for me. And I never thought it was. I was definitely motivated for a while for the money, but that's definitely a never ending chase if you, kind of do that.
Yeah.
Success for me is honestly, for me right now, it's slowing down, and it's really hanging out with the right people, taking the right, spending my time in the right places. Like honestly, speaking with you is top of the list on that dial, believe it or not, dude. Yeah. But it's true. I mean, it's being more selective with how I spend my energy. And because now, I have a 9-month-old, we were chatting about our kids earlier. Like, I don't want to just work. Like, I'm not made for that. Never have been. So success is having fun with how I'm spending my time everywhere, but because I want to be in the moment, I want to be present. And like you were mentioning, or to me, like, hey, the kids grow fast, man. So watch them while they're in these stages. And same with you, you're in totally different stages, but they're growing quick. And so I want to be there. And success is hanging out with the people that I like, learning, but also just being present and slowing down.
I love that, matey, because I used to chase a dollar and the money a lot more, and now that with the kids and stuff, like now, as soon as this finishes, I'm going home. I'm in the back garden playing football with the kids. The wife will be probably cooking our tea. It's just awesome. And so, cool. How do you stay so motivated? What is your why? How do you keep wanting to progress and get up in the morning?
Yeah, I sometimes lately it's been a little tougher with the baby, but yeah, but it's definitely like I just get I'm curious, man. Like I think the podcast has really opened up so many cool opportunities, and relationships are key. I mean, I'll just say yesterday, like there's a guy named Kamal who's been on our show, Kamal Ravikant. You might have listened to it, but he's a Silicon Valley investor. He wrote a book, Love Yourself, like your life depends on it.
Yes.
And he randomly called me yesterday, and it was like 5:30 or something. I just put the baby down. He just called me out of the blue. I haven't chatted with him in a couple months. And we had an hour-long phone call, and he was just like, hey, man, I'm going on a drive right now, and just like I got an hour or so, let's chat. And we did. And like, it was just, it was a friendly chat, but it's just like he's such an interesting guy. But that turned into like, hey, so what kind of projects are you working on? Oh, I would like to learn more about that. I mean, you never know what relationships or what opportunities can come from any relationship, but that jacks, like just things like that. It reminds me, I'm like, wow, this podcast has created so many interesting opportunities in relationships, new friendships that, here's a guy that I've read his book years and years ago, and I fully respect the guy. And then like, here he is just calling me up as a friend, and we're just bullshitting, for apologize the late, but like on a Sunday, I'm like, there's business in there, but it's a friendship, I'm like, this is why I like what I do, man, because it feels like it's all kind of very connected, and it's just life. And I feel like it attracts the right people, and if you put it out there like that, that's what lights me up.
100%. I love that. I'm very respectful of your time, Joe. So I've just got 5 questions for you, buddy. 5 questions, 1 sentence answers. So what does your perfect day look like?
Man, wait, hold on. Say, it kind of broke up for a second there.
Oh, sorry. What does your perfect day look like?
Perfect day looks like waking up, I would say right around, I would say getting started around 9 o'clock, but, doing the business stuff, but wrapping it up early, going, doing something fun, going outside. And then I'm trying to layer in some naps in there too. So
I love my naps. Yeah. Here's a question. One question I've just decided to ask. I had another podcast. What scares you? I love this question.
Oh man, scares me. I don't, it's the 9 to 5. I know it's kind of cheesy. We talked about it earlier, but it's that in prison for some reason. I don't know why, but like I would do nothing to get into that. Like,
Yeah, I heard you
you know,
say
like
that. I'm with you there. Yeah.
you never know like what weird stuff. I mean, the world is crazy, but it's like, I don't want to be caught up in something and then basically have my freedom stripped away where I can't do things like this. Like I wouldn't be able to operate and be as curious. I don't know. It's like a weird thing that's been in the back of my head. But
100%. I was listening to Jordan
yeah.
Harbinger's show, and he had that girl on from the UK who was in Italy
Uh-huh.
and got wrongfully accused for murder, and she was in prison for 4 years. And I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
That would scare the shit out of me. It does scare the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Man.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
if I ask 5 of your closest friends, what is your superpower? What would they say?
It's definitely making friends with anyone on the planet. Doesn't matter what your background is or what you do.
Yeah,
It's
love it.
somehow, getting the trust. Yeah.
And what's the best advice you have ever received?
Oh man, that's a good one. I would say it's somewhere in learning myself, like really understanding who I am
Yeah.
and digging deep and critical, just really looking at myself critically and really bettering myself. So I don't know the exact words or whoever said it, but basically, yeah, that kind of inward thinking has helped
Yeah,
me so
I'm
much.
with you all the way. Recommend one book.
Oh man, I'm let's see here. This is the Courage to Be Disliked is really good, and I'm
Ooh.
blanking on the name of the author. I believe it's a gentleman from Japan, but yeah, The Courage to Be Disliked,
Oh, I
and
love that. I've never heard of that one before. I'll link it all up in the show notes as well. Well, I
you'll
say
like
I
it.
will. Joe, my awesome virtual assistant, she will do. But so,
Awesome.
Joe, if people want to find out more about you, listen to your podcast, where would they go, buddy?
Yeah, man. So I would say go to our Facebook group. That's like a cool melting pot with Matt and myself are in there. I believe you might be in there, but if you're not, that's okay. But it's if you go to flowchartgroup.com, that's
Yeah.
flowchartgroup.com, and it's free. And you'll be able to hang out. You'll see all the cool stuff we're up to in there.
Awesome. And by the way, just so you know, the only reason I'm not in there, I feel real guilty now, is because I don't go on Facebook too much. I try to stay away from it because if I go on it, I'm on it all the time. So I try to stay away from it and stay off it. I don't even put my own content. Joe does it, and Charlie helps me out with that sort of thing as well. So I try to stay away from it.
I'm separating myself a little bit more, but I definitely check into our group. I don't go on Facebook other than that though. Yeah. But check out the podcast, the Hustle and Flowchart. It's a fun show. But
it is certainly one of my favorite podcasts. I love it every single time it comes out. I first to listen to it. So
thank you,
Joe, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, pal. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you, buddy. And so just thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Dean. It's been fun, man. Thank you.